Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu from Upright Health, and in today's video we're going to be looking at 2 exercises to help you retrain your shoulders to sit back better. So a lot of us are sitting in front of computers and cell phones all the time, and we start to get this forward rounding with our shoulders just start getting stuck here. And we need exercises to retrain these muscles to get a little bit stronger and pull things back. So we're going to go over these 2 exercises in this video that require absolutely no equipment at all. So you can do these pretty much anywhere at any time. You can do these at home, you can do these at the office, you can do these at the gym, you could do these at a concert, you could do these in a house, you could do these with a mouse, you could do these in a box, you could do these with a fox. If you love Dr. Seuss like I do, you'll understand what I just said. If you don't, then you have no idea what I was talking about. So anyway, let's just get into the exercises. The first exercise is called the doorway row. This is a good beginner level exercise that we use as a regression from doing things like suspension trainer rows or doing inverted rows or doing dumbbell rows. In the Shoulder Fix program, this is kind of like the base level that you would use if you can't do the other exercises or if you don't have the equipment handy to do the other exercises. So what you need is just a doorway. Wherever you are right now, you probably have a doorway. What you may not have is molding here. So like you can see, I don't have anything here that I can grab onto, but that doesn't matter, okay? If I had molding, it would make it easier because then I could just have my fingers gripping the wood piece here. But you're gonna see it's not 100% necessary. Also, if you're going to be holding onto the molding on a door, make sure it's securely fastened. If you're in like an older building or something and it's really fragile, you don't want to be ripping pieces of your doorway off. But what's most important is that you hold on tight and make sure you don't fall back into the other wall. So what you need to do here is just grab a hold of the wall. Again, I don't have molding, so I'm going to hold on tight. I'm just squeezing in on the wall here. I'm going to hold on tight. I'm going to bring my feet close to the doorway here, and I'm just going to let myself sink back, still keeping my spine straight, and bring myself forward. As I'm doing this, I want to pay attention to what I'm doing with my shoulder blades. So a lot of times when people do any sort of rowing motion, they end up elevating their shoulders like this and actually rounding them. So we need to make sure we're not doing that. We want to keep the shoulders down and back as we pull towards the doorway. Okay, so that's just the beginning of the exercise. That's how we engage those muscles that help us pull. You're gonna feel your biceps working, you're gonna feel muscles back here probably working. You may not feel those as obviously as the biceps, but those should work as long as you're keeping your shoulders pulled back. If, however, you're going into this position, then you may just feel a whole bunch of biceps, and then you may also feel your shoulders start to bother you, and that's not what we're looking for. So you keep that open position, the chest open, shoulders back, and then you're just going to do repetitions here. So we're gonna go for sets of like 10 to 20 even, since this is probably gonna be a fairly low amount of resistance for you. And I generally do like 3 sets of 10 to 20 just to kind of get the blood flowing. These are really helpful if you're like sitting down at the office for a while, and or you're at a coffee shop or something, and you've just been on the computer for hours and hours and hours. It'll be nice to just get this in, just get a couple rows in like this. Now, obviously, if you're at a coffee shop, you might want to find a quiet doorway somewhere, not directly at the entrance, but to each their own. Okay, so if you want to make this, if you want to adjust this, you could also try adjusting what you're doing with your hips. Okay, so you can adjust what you're doing with your feet, trying to change the angles up a little bit. So if I go down like this, that actually makes it a little bit more fun and exciting for me. I can feel at this angle, then I'm actually having to work a bit harder and pull myself back a little bit, or pull myself forward a little bit more. So I just add a little bit of resistance. If I lean back more like this, I can get a little bit more clear line of pull on my lower traps and my mid traps. And again, as long as I keep the shoulder blades back and I keep that spine in a nice aligned position, I'm good to go. I just don't want to be here, and I don't want to be like that, right? So that's how you do the doorway row. The next exercise is bent over arm circles. So this exercise requires absolutely zero equipment. What you're going to do is start from a standing position, and you're just going to do basically a fold at the hips. So you're just pushing your hips back and making sure you're not rounding your spine like this, right? We just want to keep the spine neutral, push the hips back. You're going to bring your hands out to the sides, okay? So your arms, if you look from this angle, it's about a 90-degree angle here, and my arms are just completely parallel to the floor, okay? And then I'm going to start making some circles. Now the goal here is to make sure I don't lose shoulder blade position, right? So I don't shrug up towards my ears, and I can maintain that 90-degree angle here, and I just work on basically kind of like a little miniature butterfly stroke. So you can pretend you're Michael Phelps and pretend you are swimming for several thousand yards today, but you probably don't get to eat 10,000 calories. So you're gonna just keep going here, usually going like 20 to even 100 circles will be a good way to go. So obviously don't start out at 100, start out at 20, see how that goes. And then you're gonna go backwards, okay? So what we're doing is just creating a little bit of resistance by using the weight of our arms and forcing the rear delts, the mid traps, some of the lower traps, even some of the upper traps, the traps. Everything is working here to stabilize the shoulder blades and to move the humerus and keep things in a stable and non-rounded position, okay? So a couple things you can do to adjust this exercise is play with the hand position. So if you're bent over and you have the palms facing down, you're gonna feel a certain set of muscles here work. I feel my rear delts work pretty well. But if you want to, you can also turn the thumbs down and focus on doing the same exercise with the thumbs down. And for some people, that seems to help them get the rear delts a little bit better. It might work for you, might not. You can also work on having the thumbs up and then work it that way. Okay, so another option, if you feel like any one of these specific positions is more challenging for you to control, then it's probably a good idea for you to work on building control there, right? So sometimes people, excuse me, sometimes people have trouble even getting that external rotation, right? So sometimes you go here and you're like, oh man, so weak. If that's the case, then you can work on improving that position, train your body to get better and better at that position, and then gradually get yourself into that even more externally rotated position. The whole idea with any kind of training for your body is to identify the things that you have trouble with and safely and progressively get better and better at it. So it's the same principle as lifting a heavier and heavier weight, right? It's just overcoming different kinds of resistance in your body, whether it's an external resistance like a weight or internal resistance like your muscles don't have the strength or the coordination or the flexibility to allow you to get to a certain point. Okay, so again, with the bent over arm circles, doing sets of 20 to up to 100, and if you really feel like you can do 100 no problem, then you can go ahead and try out doing more. And just doing a set forward and a set back is usually a pretty good way to get things going. If you're keeping at the lower rep range, then 2 or 3 sets usually works pretty well just to get the blood flowing, get the shoulders to sit back. So that's how you do the bent over arm circles. The next question you may be asking yourself is how many times a day should I be doing these exercises? The answer is it really depends on you. So people actually respond to exercises very, very differently. People respond to training very, very differently from individual to individual. So you do have to pay attention to what your body tells you and how you feel when you do these exercises. Some people may feel like, hey, doing this 2 times, 3 times a day is fine, and there's no negative effect. It feels great. The body opens up. Shoulders seem like they're getting better and better at pulling back. That's fantastic. These are not really super difficult exercises. They're not a lot of resistance for most people, but for some people, this may actually result in some soreness. You might need to take, one day on, one day off. You do just have to pay attention to what your body tells you. For me personally, when my shoulders were really stuck in a forward position and they were hurting all the time and they just felt loose, and just like my right shoulder felt loose and sloppy, and my hands and wrists were hurting all the time, I found it really helpful for me to do these exercises like 5 to 10 times a day. Not just these exercises, but a whole host of other exercises to just keep the shoulders in the right position. I would be doing them like just nonstop throughout the day. And that felt good to me, it felt fine, and there was no problem. But you do have to experiment to see what your body responds to. And of course, you also want to think about progressing to harder exercises so that you don't end up having to do lighter exercises like these all the time, right? My whole day used to be taken up with light exercises like these, and while that was okay and it kept me functional, once I started using a little more resistance, then my body got stronger and was able to maintain the position better. So that's something to keep in mind. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you liked this video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you're looking for a program to help you retrain your shoulders from start to finish, check out the Shoulder Fix. You'll find a link in the description section. And finally, since these exercises can be done anywhere, anyplace, anytime, all around the world, let us know in the comments section where you're going to be doing these exercises. We look forward to seeing your comments, and as always, hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.